Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of
The Lo and Zoe Show.
So today sort of marks the beginning of some of our content that we've been, or like a new direction in our content that we're excited to kind of revisit from last season, and that is the topic of quantum manifesting.
Yeah, so this is big success leaps that are very possible for every single one of you once you learn and understand and educate yourself.
Yeah, and the reason that we're coming back around to this topic is because we have a program that we're both equally obsessed with.
Yeah.
It's really like the manifestation course that
doesn't exist anywhere
Yeah,
else.
exactly. Thank you. So we talked quite a bit last season, specifically towards the end, about quantum leap manifesting and what that looks like and how we're able to create these big shifts in our lives in a short period of time through understanding basically the role that our thoughts play in literally creating reality, like the science behind it, and then the process to implement that leads to those big quantum leaps. And we've run this program once before and had people, just create amazing things. It's
in all different areas of their life.
In all different areas, yeah. And so we're going to be talking more about that in the coming weeks. It is launching August 10th, I believe. Yeah, August 10th. It'll only be open for 5 days in this program. We only launch about once every 6 months. We don't have another one planned coming up, but we get questions about it all the time. Like, when is it launching again? Anyways, So it inspired today's topic, which is
resistance-free manifestation.
Yeah,
and resistance-free manifesting, essentially.
Which I think is like the most important one of the most important topics that there is when it comes to manifestation, because it's the resistance, and we're going to talk about what that is, that keeps us from the things that we're calling forth. So
let's get started.
I'm Lo.
And I'm Zoe, and this is the
Lo and Zoe Show. We're coaches and entrepreneurs who firmly believe that an abundant mind is the key to an abundant life.
On this podcast, we're going to be talking everything from how to manifest more money, travel, success in business, and beyond,
to overcoming the blocks that are holding you back,
to rewiring your brain so you can easily attract whatever it is you want the most in life.
If you haven't already, be sure to join us inside our Facebook community, Abundant Mind Tribe, for daily tips, mindset hacks, manifesting tricks, and more that'll allow you to build the confidence you need
to manifest the abundant AF life you deserve.
Now let's get started.
All right, guys, so before we get into today's topic, which is resistance-free manifesting, just to let you know, so QC Squared is launching, like Lauren said, August 10th, so there will be a link down in the show notes, which will give you more information if you have any questions or you're curious or simply just want to get on the wait list so you're first to know when the launch is happening. We're going to have some great content coming out that week as well, and you don't want to miss it, so be sure to check that out, and we're super excited to just get into it.
I just can't wait. Like, we've been waiting. Zoe was like, can we launch it earlier? And I'm like, I like to not have things be available all the time because I think it kind of takes away from how special, especially this course is. And in case you guys are new here, QC Squared is Quantum Creators Course, for being sciencey.
Yeah.
But we do refer to it as QC Squared. So we do have a wait list for that. It doesn't mean that you have to sign up or anything. It just means that you're aware and you're going to get an email when it does open. But yeah, we really created QC Squared, and we've talked a lot about quantum manifestation. Maybe we'll explain a little bit what that is, because we saw this like need in the world of manifestation for people to have a better understanding of just how powerful they are, and not have it be like something that someone just told them, like, oh, did you know you create your own reality? You're infinitely powerful. Like, it's that, to me, was never enough to have me actually believe that I was capable of building whatever I wanted or manifesting whatever I wanted. I needed an understanding. I needed to really know what was going on with my thoughts on like a subatomic level to really step into that power and be like, oh, I create my own reality. And from there, like, manifestation and quantum leaps, like, and we've done episodes before on just our huge quantum leaps in money and paying off debt and apartments and opportunities and things like that happening like literally overnight. But quantum leaps just become something that you believe in because you understand how powerful you are.
Exactly. And it's with that education comes that empowerment, and you just know, and you can then find a greater level of trust. And just simply knowing that if you get clear on what it is that you want and you put in the practices that we teach in QC Squared, your success is inevitable.
Yeah.
Anything that we've ever wanted, Lo, after applying this technique,
has happened.
Shifted, and it's happened, or it's unfolding right now, and we're very clear of that based on the synchronicities and signs that are presenting themselves.
And maybe we could take this opportunity just to talk about what resistance is, because some people, might not actually have a clear understanding of what resistance means when it comes to manifestation. So how would you describe resistance to someone, Zoe?
So if you think of it in terms of energy, resistance is a kind of an energy that feels like it's blocking you. And it could show up in the terms of emotions you might feel in your body, or thoughts that are in disbelief about yourself, or disbelief that this is possible. Very much the ego presenting itself. And, that's that inner, we've referred to it as that inner mean ghost, or something in your head that's kind of trying to discourage you away from what you believe is possible for yourself. So I think about it more in terms of energy. For me, it shows up in different ways. Mostly I recognize it through thoughts, but I can definitely tell in my body when I'm feeling a resistant energy come up, and then I can take note of the thoughts and the inner stories and themes that are there, and just recognize it, call it out for what it is, but just then continue to bring myself back into that place of trust. And that's what the education, having this education that we teach in QC Squared, can really do for you, because you can defeat that ego mind very fast with facts.
Yeah. And like, really simply put, resistance is doubt and fear around you being able to call forth what you want. So, if you're working on building a business and you say, I want to have my first $10,000 month, and the first thing that pops up is, well, I don't know how, or I don't have a big enough audience for that, or I've never been able to even do half of that. Like, all of that is doubt it's essentially energy that is vibrating at a contradictory frequency as what you want. So if you were just saying, I'm going to make $10,000 a month, here comes my first $10,000 month, I can't wait, like, you would manifest that so quickly, because you weren't contradicting your energy. Zoe and I are both on a cleanse right now, and we're day 2 without caffeine, and I swear, like, my brain does not work the same right now. But we'll get there. I'm so glad that Zoe's doing it with me. The struggle is real. Anyways, but so the doubt or the fear or the worry that you have, it's those things that are keeping what you want from you. So essentially, resistance is the thing that's blocking what you want. Otherwise, manifesting is easy. And we've all had experiences where we think about something and then it just shows up immediately, because we didn't introduce doubt. We didn't introduce resistance.
Yeah, we didn't even let it show up. We didn't give it space at all. And I think going even simpler than that, of just being able to call out fears, because sometimes the ego can be crafty, we know. But it's when you're in flow and alignment versus when you're not. So you all know out there, when you're in that place of alignment with what it is that you're desiring for your life, you're happy, you're content, you're more present in the moment, you're feeling at ease, and nothing's in your way. Anytime when you're feeling anything other than that, there's resistance present. Right.
And so the game of manifestation, if you'll call it that, is figuring out how to let go of that resistance long enough to let in what you want. And there's lots of different ways to do this. And like, even just last week, we talked about getting happy, right? And enjoying life and tuning into abundance simply by doing things that you love. And that is a really great way to let go of resistance, because you're out there enjoying. You don't have time to think about what you're doubting or what you're worried about. But like, basically everyone that teaches manifestation has different ways of helping you release resistance. And there's a lot of messaging around, like, just believe, have faith, trust. And yes, we need to have trust in order to manifest, in order to let go of that resistance. But it's not as simple. I actually get like kind of triggered when people are just like, hey, just believe, just trust the universe. Like, our brains are not wired that way. I personally, and I know it has really empowered Zoe as well, needed more information than that. Like, I needed to know why it was safe for me to trust, right? And once I really dove into like the quantum physics side of things and quantum I don't know if you call it quantum theory, but, well, they do call it quantum theory. But in regards to what we're talking about, just quantum manifestation, which we can describe a little bit here. Once I got into all that and really understood, like, oh, when I focus my attention on something, it literally creates that event.
Yes.
Like, literally. And this is something that is proven. And I think people don't, like, it's a little bit out there unless you, I mean, that's why I'm so proud of QC Squared, is that we really broke it down for people to understand this quantum theory and how it relates to manifestation, and why it's really the key to just being like, oh, I create with my thoughts.
Yeah.
And there's just no, like, as soon as you really understand that, it's as simple as imagining what you want, and then it shows up.
Exactly, because you're breaking it down when everything is energy. We talk about energy all the time on this podcast, but you are made up of energy. So when you begin to understand what that looks like on a subatomic level, and how your thoughts are forward momentum, right? You know that you can follow thoughts, you know that you can push thoughts in your own mind. That's the environment that you live, and you can understand that there is energetic force and intent behind those things. So when you begin to look deeper and deeper and deeper and more into the science aspect of things, and you guys, I'm telling you, I was not someone who was like science smart in high school. Like, this is fun. I'm telling you, this is not, don't be, you know.
It's so liberating.
It's so liberating.
The best kind of science, because you're like, oh, I create the universe.
Yeah. But so when you get down to looking at it at that subatomic level, it's so simple. Of course, our thoughts create our reality to an extent greater than we could ever understand. Yeah. And once you become more and more aware, and as you go through QC squared, you'll have a more heightened awareness, and you'll know that, okay, if there's a thought that's passing through my mind that I don't want to be there, I'm going to choose something greater. Like, you understand the importance of what it means to really become a conscious creator of the rest of your life moving forward.
Well, and it's been interesting, you know, with everything that's gone on in the world since the first time that we launched it, which was in January. And we've had people like inside the first round of QC squared saying, I understand that my attention on something literally creates more of it. So I'm not going to feed into the fear. Like, we've had people posting in the group saying, like, I'm going to be conscious on the narrative that I observe through all of this, because we literally, I mean, this is why the media is so interested in controlling our thoughts, because like I mean, this is getting a little like, you know, up into the conspiracy world, which Zoe and I are super into, but maybe an episode for another day. But the people, you know, that really control the media understand that as human beings, we have the power to create by our attention on something. So what they do is they put these false narratives in front of us, knowing that we fixate on them, and thus we create more of that problem, right? Like, we are that powerful, and a whole world exists for you not to understand how powerful you are. And I mean, that's another reason why I love this topic. I love QC squared, because it literally returns people back to their knowing, back to their power around, like, again, like, oh, I literally create reality.
Yes. And you have a choice. Like, that's what I think is so powerful about this, because once you understand it all, you have a choice, whether that's, you know, what you're going to see manifest in your life in the future. And you have a choice in recognizing where you're going to give your power away and if you're going to keep it within you. Like, just as you're saying, the media, well, like, they know that they can control us. So are you following them, or are you just going to create your most abundant life? Like, Laura and I are just talking about in the previous podcast how much fun we've been having, where we very much understand that that's not the case for other people out there. But what are you choosing to focus on? Are you going to take this time, this quiet time, this pause, this quarantine mode, whatever you want to call it? Are you going to take this time to be a conscious creator of your own dreams? Or are you going to give the power away to other people's agendas, if you will? Which
is really easy to do. I mean, I feel like we were like full on quantum mode back in January and February. And then come March, April, May, June, we still created, but I had to consciously, and I still have to, kind of check myself. Like, am I allowing these narratives to pull my attention, to make me feel powerless? Because that's what all of this, you know, the media, everything exists for, is to take you out of your power and to make you feel as if you don't have a say around your own life or just what's going on in the world, right? There's a lot of people invested in keeping you small. Yeah. Because if you only knew how powerful you were, how powerful your consciousness was, I mean, like, these, you know, these kinds of things would just not have any possibility. I believe we could have collectively manifested something like COVID going away in a couple of weeks if people only understood how powerful their thoughts are. But we don't know. And so then we go, COVID, all this horrible stuff happening. Oh my God, it's awful. It's blah, blah, blah. Actually, Tom said on a call yesterday, someone who's running this cleanse, he said, we have to stop talking about how horrible this is, right? How crazy it is. Everybody's using words like crazy and out of control and blah, blah, blah. And we are all creating it.
Yeah. And just as your thoughts are so powerful, your words are this, if not even more powerful. And you know that in the way that you speak about yourself, in the way that you speak about the future, in the way that you may have called in things. If you said, oh, this day couldn't get anywhere, or even saying things like that. Like, what are you calling in? Be very conscious of that. And when you begin to go through this course and begin to educate yourself, you're not going to let yourself slide anymore in areas of your life where there's discontent, dissatisfaction, there's fear present. You're going to learn how to pull yourself out of that and remember who you are. Like, remember who you are, especially in these times right now, because thinking about what you said, Laura, is like people are following the media. So imagine if instead of just all of us being blasted with this coronavirus content all over the news, what if it was, wow, things are getting better? What if there was more? We've all heard that Mother Nature, she's healing herself in all these different ways. The waters are becoming clearer. What if that was more blasted all over the place? How much more of a positive, healthy headspace would we all be in?
Yeah.
And you can still be you can still be informed, but not give your power away. Yeah,
absolutely. You don't have to pretend that these things aren't going on in the world. But I think that what's so powerful, I mean, we all hear your thoughts create your reality, right? And some people have more of an understanding than others in terms of why that is. But I don't think very many people, and this is why I'm so just proud of QC Squared, I don't think very many people really understand why and how their thoughts create their reality. And we've done episodes before on the observer effect, which is, I mean, it really is just when you place your attention on something, you collapse more of that from a non-physical realm into a physical realm. And I know these kinds of words sound like very woo-woo. They're actually incredibly, like, it's all proven. It's all proven.
And in QC Squared, like the modules are something that you can continue to revisit for the rest of your, like, that's why I wanted to launch it sooner, because Laura, I just want to watch all this content again, even though we made it and I have access to it. But there's something to be said about everyone going through that together and everyone having these breakthroughs. It's like when you watch Harry Potter a second, a third, a fourth time, you're like, oh, I didn't remember that from the previous time I saw it. You always learn something new about yourself based on what it is that you're going through at that time.
Yeah. And I mean, then coming towards like things like, you know, Black Lives Matter, for instance, that was a very necessary shift that's happening. Like, it needs to be brought to light. However, what the media did was immediately have us all kind of pin against each other, or that was a lot of what was going on, a lot of people fighting, and a lot of these like so-called riots, right? Like, all that we saw was unless you're like, this is one great thing about social media is we get to see more of the story, whereas in the media, what we saw was rioting, and what we saw was people arguing and lighting fires to things, right? Because they want to control your narrative, because they want to have complete control over what we are creating, right? I mean, I'd like the whole world to take QC Squared,
I know,
or at least understand this, because if you guys only knew, and we do want to bring this back to resistance-free manifesting. This was not actually the plan for the episode, for us to like go on this.
We're off of caffeine.
You just don't know what you're gonna get. But seriously though, you are a creator with your mind. Like, you are that powerful, and inside QC Squared, you're gonna understand how and why, and you're gonna be able to use it not just to empower yourself to create consciously, you know, what you want more of in the world, like be more focused on a solution rather than on the problem. But you're also gonna be able to use that information to then go and create whatever you want. We had people in the first round, you know, that manifested their dream relationships and huge lump sums of money and
quantum leaps left, right, and center.
Exactly.
It's inevitable if you apply yourself, if you do what we teach in the program. But then that resistance free comes in, because as these people have made a quantum leap, they've signed up for this course, and in a matter of a few weeks, they have a soulmate. And they know that. They're still like, I can't wait till we can share some more testimonials with you guys. But once you make a quantum leap or two in your life, after knowing this type of information that we teach, and we really go in and break it down for you in such an easy way, because I know even sometimes, for example, me listening to Dr. Joe, sometimes I'm like, I have to re-listen to this again so that I get it. Yeah. But we really break it down for you guys in a way that's very easy to understand and comprehend and even apply. So when you continually prove this to yourself, even after a first quantum leap and recognizing it for what it is, you then release a huge level of resistance that once existed in your own mind around believing that this could be a possibility for you. So that's the power in educating yourself and actually seeing the results through taking a course like this and really applying yourself and having that accountability present.
Yeah, we really did a lot of messaging last time when we were launching QC Squared around kind of the missing piece of manifestation, because we inherently have doubts and fears, right? And it's not because you're not like, you don't have enough willpower. It's not because you haven't unblocked all of your old stories and limiting beliefs that you have. It's because you're missing a piece of the puzzle that has you just understand how powerful your thoughts are, that where you're literally like, oh, all I have to do is, follow these few steps and this thing is going to show up in my life. And it's like that ego backlash that would usually come up, which is the second thing we want to talk about. So ego backlash, how would you describe ego backlash?
So ego backlash is different with quantum manifesting because you have this education and you can really understand it from a subatomic level. You can see it for what it is, and then the ego can become obsolete.
Well, it kind of like, it does become obsolete because you don't have that doubt within you. So usually when we're manifesting, we're still questioning things like, can I really have this though? Is this manifestation thing really real, or is it all kind of just BS? I know I've had those thoughts before. I'm like, what if this is all just BS, But when you have an understanding of the science behind it, you don't have that doubt within you. You just know. And so, I mean, I've had experiences with quantum manifesting where I can feel the ego. It's looking for things to grasp onto, but there's just nothing for it there, because I'm like, no, I know that this is happening. I know that I'm doing this.
Yes. And you can just let it go.
Exactly. Whereas when you are already in a place of doubt because you don't really understand your power, there's just so much for the ego to be like, oh, well, it didn't happen last time. And, you're not actually that good at this, or people aren't going to want to pay you for that. Who the heck do you think you are? And you're already operating at that frequency. So it's really easy to just attract more thoughts from that place, right? Because we manifest thoughts based on the frequency that we're in as well. When you're in a bad mood, how you just find more things to feel bad about. It's like that. If you're already in a place of questioning your power because you don't know just how powerful you are, the ego can just throw things at you and they stick.
Yeah.
Right? And it gets really ugly.
Yeah. But this will give you the empowerment. The education will give you the empowerment then to remain in your power, stay in your power. You'll recognize the ego for what it is and just be able to call it out for that. Just simply, oh, of course, that's my ego acting up again. Yeah. And you can choose to not give away that precious power that you have and just turn it back to yourself. Yeah. What can I do? And it's like, just to bring it back to that example before about it gets the loudest before it's dying off. It's like I've seen this visual of this man chipping away in a mine for a diamond, and he's like just about to give up, and you see the diamond behind him in the wall, right? And he's so close, and it's always how it is. I've always had my most tumultuous inner storms, like if you will, or dark nights of the soul, before a new version of me breaks free. Like imagine the butterfly in the cocoon. It literally can happen like that. You can have one massive ego day where you're like, I just can't, I'm gonna cry in my bed with my Palo Santo, and then the next day I wake up and I'm like, rebirth.
That was actually something that happened, by the way. So I was at Zoe's house one day, and it was like, I was really glad that I was able to be there for you, because it was real, like what you were going through. Real. But I walked into your room and you're crying and burning Palo Santo. Gave her a good pat on the back and listen to it, but it was real. Anyways, but I just love that you always bring that up, because
well, I mean, that's the truth, you guys. I cry too. I have crazy ego backlashes all the time, but then I know what it is, and I can almost be excited when I'm in it. Like the other day when I was in my ego, I'm like, wow, I can't wait to see what's on the other side of this.
Can we talk a little bit though about specifically your manifesting lately? Because Zoe's just been manifesting all over the place, and it's not your ego backlash right now is more about your spiritual growth and dealing with things from your childhood and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. When it comes to manifesting, Zoe's just like, oh, got another pay in full client yesterday and one today. And just all these things that you set intentions for that are happening. It's very much resistance-free manifesting. And would you say that that's because you just inherently know what your power is?
Yes. And I would say that specifically comes from QC Squared and the content that we teach in that program, and also the content that I've chose to continually surround myself with after learning more about that. Yeah. Because that's what has me feeling that anything I ever intend for, it's inevitable it's going to happen for me. Right. And I can then decide I'm not going to give my power away to meddling, as we spoke to before. Yeah. It's like any time that you're going to give your power away to resistance, or you meddling, trying to figure out the how, trying to figure out, that energy is trying, it's not being. If you're simply just being in your power, you literally are a magnet that attracts all of your intentions to you.
Yeah. Well, we were just creating the launch plan for QC Squared. And one of the reasons we're talking about it now is because we want you guys to, we know that there were people that didn't sign up last time who really wanted to. We want you right now, if this is something that you're interested in, to set an intention. It's a $397 course, which I still feel is like massively, like I've paid for $2,200 courses that did not enlighten me or did not make me feel empowered. Anyways, but so that's part of why we're talking about it right now. So yeah, we just wanted you guys to have an opportunity to set those intentions and, you know, manifest the money if you need to, manifest the way if this is something, especially for those of you who have been thinking about it since we launched the first time. But when we were creating our launch plan, we didn't feel the need to take nearly as much action as we did last time. Like we're producing less content around this launch as we did last time, because we are just, there's a being about us. Like we just know what this program does for people. We just know that people are going to want to buy it. And that being comes, I mean, it's not that we didn't have that back in January, but this is like another 6 months on of understanding this content, of applying this content, of affirming the things that we talked to you guys about in QC Squared, where we're just like, we just know that this is going to be a huge launch. We just know that this is what people need. And that being means that you get to take less action. Right? And people did manifest things without ever actually having to do anything, because who they were being were people of certainty, of knowing what their power was, of applying this process and expecting it to work. And it's, you know, from there, the ego backlash is just so much less of a thing, because you just know. You're like, oh, exactly. I create with my thoughts. I'm just going to think about this thing, and then it's going to show up.
And manifestation will never be the same for you after knowing this information that's in this course. And just as Laura spoke, like things are coming to me so effortlessly and so easily right now, because as I've created conscious quantum leaps, each time I do that, I eliminate the resistance that exists in my vibration. I am up leveling, and I am no longer going to regress to a person who doubts myself in a way or doubts that things are possible. So imagine anytime that you outdo yourself, surprise yourself, or up level yourself, you always say like, wow, I can't believe I did that. You feel proud of yourself. There can't be doubt that exists in a place when you know how powerful you are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And so, I mean, I think we just want to close this with what would be possible for you if you were setting intentions from a place of knowing. If you're setting intentions from a place of not really having that doubt, that resistance creep up, as we all know that it does. If you were setting intentions saying, this is the thing that I want, and I know that I can have it, and this is all I have to do, and it's going to come. Like how, I feel like we really hold ourselves back because we don't actually believe in our capacity to manifest the big things, right? We're like, well, I'll set smaller intentions because I can believe in those without as much resistance, and therefore there's a better chance of them happening. Right? Whereas people in QC Squared, and including ourselves, just went for the big things that we wanted, knowing our power, and then had those things show up in the absence of the resistance, right? So we're going to be talking more about QC Squared in the coming weeks. Like we said, it launches on August 10th, only for 5 days. That's the card open period. And
you guys don't want to miss out. Honestly, like I said, manifestation your life will never be the same.
Yeah.
Again, after taking this course. And that's been a consistent message I've gotten from people who did take the last round of the course. I said, my life is completely transformed.
You just never look at yourself or the world the same again, because now you have an understanding of how it all works.
Yes.
You know? And I think that, I mean, Zoe and I have both sort of got some kind of like backlash online around being too happy.
Yeah.
You know, like people, and I mean, that's a topic on its own, which is like, we look like we're just effortlessly happy, and it's like our white privilege and whatever. And like, you know, there's some things to talk about there for sure. And we have, but it's more that we have done the work to educate ourselves, and we see the world differently than most people do. And it gives us permission to keep creating, to be happy, to choose the narrative that we invest our time and our energy into. It's very much a conscious thing that we've done, and so it feels really good to empower other people into that as well.
Exactly. And that choosing, that power of the conscious choice when you know who you are as an individual and what that power is the ultimate freedom.
Yep. So that's what we got for you guys today. Thank you so much for this. Was a very this is Lo and Zoe sans caffeine, and it's
I feel like we went into
several rabbit holes.
Several rabbit holes. We came back again, we brought her home, and
I'm realizing that the caffeine was like part of my ego, kind of like I had like an egoic attachment to it, and so there's pieces of like the ego right now that are like, I don't know where to go. Like, I'm just going to like fog your brain right now and make it hard for you to think.
Exactly. You guys be prepared for a grand episode on this master cleanse, because I'm already having the spiritual awakening.
We haven't even really started. This is just like the transition where you get rid of all the stuff that you've been like just mindlessly consuming. But we are going to do an episode on our results on the master cleanse, I think in a few weeks from now. So
yeah, stay tuned.
Yep. Bye guys.
Bye.
Thank you guys so much for spending a piece of your day with us and tuning in to the Lo and Zoe Show.
If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to rate it and share on social media. Be sure to tag us.
Until next time,
stay abundant.